It's the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, and we are ready to talk some football. We are joined by our football expert guru. You better not chuckle today, Coach Ice Northern. Coach, how you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing fine. Every time I hear that, I'm a laugh. But like I say, that's just part of being a part of the media. I guess you got to take it as it comes. But everything's going fine. Just about everybody finished with spring football games. Some people finished 2 weekends ago in the conference and NCAA. Most people try to finish up right around that tax time because this is the time of year where the college coaches can get off campus, and they get about 6 weeks to recruit. I think it used to be 25 or 30 days, 30 weekdays to get 20 days of recruiting in. So what some people would do, they would go out for a week or 2 weeks, then come back a week, gather all the information, and maybe go back out for 2 more weeks. Or some people may just say, look, we're going to go 4 weeks in a row, and then they'll sort of use those last 2 weeks for gathering information or getting ready for the summer camps, a little bit of vacation time, because some of those guys been going at it hot and heavy from signing day almost to morning workouts, then spring football, and then you go into your spring recruiting. So some guys are going to be looking at maybe some 10th graders that made all district or all state, the quote-unquote Power 5 guys. They looking for the Tarzan guys, guys that don't look like everybody else. And then, some of the mid-level Division I and the FCS and Division II schools, they're looking for guys that hadn't signed with anybody yet, that was supposed to sign here or had a coaching change and didn't go. So it's a lot of recruiting. And then the transfer portal just opened back up. So it'll be a lot of guys that are, maybe spending a week on, if they went through spring football, now they getting word that such and such at my program is leaving. I got to go in the portal and maybe find me a guy that's a sophomore or up that played somewhere else. And some guys may say, I know I got a good guy that may be injured right now. I will take a guy that's a junior or a senior, or just a senior or grad guy to plug this hole for a year, because I know I got some good guys on my campus already. So it's a lot going on this time of year.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that the portal opened up, and this is a feeding frenzy again, because I inadvertently dropped the name at PV, and I got beat up for it. So I wasn't too off, because he did flirt with coming at Prairie View. But just like you say, the portal opens up so many different avenues, and it switches up. And I just inadvertently put the name in there. But thank goodness that the people are listening to help correct and right the wrongs, right?
Them jokers will hurry up and correct the mistake. But, like I say, that's life in general. But
no doubt.
But if they make a mistake, like I say, that apology end up on the back page or in the bottom corner in small print when they make a mistake. But when you make a mistake, they want the apology to be headline news. But like I say, that's part of being a coach. That's part of being a media guy. So it's
yes, sir. Well, at least I can say this, Coach. I'm right most of the time than I am wrong. So I can chalk up one. It's like in baseball, I get 3 strikes, right? So
yes, sir.
Look at that. Now, here's something, Coach, that it might seem a bit weird coming from me when I say this, and maybe you can answer or respond to it. There are 2 things that I look forward to, but I don't put too much stock in, and that's the signing days and spring football. And the reason why, it looks good, it sounds fresh, it looks exciting, but I'm going to reach out on the limb that 60% of what we see and anticipate never lasts for whatever reason, due to transferring out, injuries, or just being a flop. Am I being a bit over the edge when you hear me say that?
Nah, that sounds about right. And I think some coaches would be in agreement to a certain extent. So the signing day part, for a while, the signing day was a big deal because, that's you're looking into your future, but a lot of the FCS schools, you may still be dealing with a guy that has to be eligible, that's still waiting on a test score here or there. But now it's almost to a point when you sign a kid, you know whether or not that kid is going to be eligible when you sign them because of the way that the clearance center, what we call it, the eligibility center, certifies guys to be eligible as freshmen. The other thing that, has changed, guys used to, if they were borderline, they would double sign. So they may sign with a junior college as well as the FCS school just in case they didn't make it. They knew they had somewhere to go. The other part, spring football definitely has changed. I was looking at somebody's post-spring game report, and then say the spring game was on the Saturday. The Monday after the spring game, an all-conference player from that school jumped into the transfer portal. So here you have a guy that has gone through spring football with you jump into the portal. So that's a whole different ball game. It's almost like you'll read some comments where people are saying, well, now we almost have to wait and see who shows up at fall camp because you may lose a guy to the portal. You may lose a guy to grades, or, you may have a summertime summer workout injury and stuff like that. But that going through spring football is the part that puzzles me if you know you're going to leave. So, I worked at a high school where we had a young man that got in trouble. I was in charge of discipline/punishment. This kid went through the punishment that I gave him and quit immediately after he did the punishment. That's pretty much the same thing to me of going through spring football, and a day or two after spring football, you decide or somebody tells you, hey, we may have something for you over here, and you enter the portal. That sort of didn't make sense to me. But, these kids are a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a different time, different era. And don't get to saying that too long, Coach. They're going to start calling you an old man, too. So stay young as long as you can, sir. With that being said, I know you got a lot that we got to try to get through. But overall, you can start whichever program you want to start with. What are some of the feedbacks that you've gotten from your intel? And I know they don't tell the truth on all of it. It's just like those depth charts. Everybody's mysterious about what they're trying to do. But I know people get excited about the skill positions and all that. I look at that heartbeat, which is your interior offensive defensive lines. Is that something you can glean for, look for a brighter future when you look at the spring football setup?
A little bit, because now a few of the schools can go out and say, you've been through spring football. If you don't have anybody leave, you know exactly what you need to look for when you go into the portal. So I'll just use Prairie View, for example. Coach McDowell may say, I know I need 2 offensive linemen, a center, what we call an interior guy, center or guard, and I need me a tackle. Then he may say, I need me a tight end, a true tight end body, a 6'4" and above kid that may be an undersized receiver. I know we need that. We want that in our offense. Then he may say, okay, we sort of set. If nobody leaves at quarterback, they may think they're pretty good. Okay, I need me a edge rush. I got to find me a defensive end, outside linebacker that can put pressure on the quarterback. So now they're combing through the roster, seeing what exactly do they need. But the biggest thing that everybody will tell you, if you can't win inside, you can't win outside. So you got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to protect the quarterback. It's just like a baseball. You're a baseball guy. I know baseball. If you bad at catcher, you bad at second and short, and you bad at center field, you're going to be bad everywhere. It's just like, if the pitcher can't reasonably throw strikes or throw the contact, and if he's walking everybody, you're going to be bad everywhere. So if you can't have a guy, everybody wants to be a shotgun center, a shotgun offense that can't snap and protect, you're going to be bad everywhere. So that's why it's important to have a good snap. And then now you can go out and find you a decent kicker a punter at this time of year as well, because some of those guys, they may not have been on scholarship, but they may have been at a bigger school. But now reality is setting in that, man, I'm paying $20,000 or $30,000 a year to go to school. I can go to a SWAC, a Southland Conference school, and possibly get a partial to a full scholarship just to punt the football. So you still have those guys that are in the portal as well. So, but you got to be making sure you plug in spots at this time of year.
Okay, and with all that being said, sir, what's the feedback you're getting from these camps closing out?
So I think everybody, and I'm going to stick just to the West this time. Every school in the West had a new offensive coordinator. Every school in the West has a guy. I'll say, if I'm going to go Pine Bluff, Grambling, Southern, Texas Southern, Prairie View, Alcorn, all of them have a guy. The competition at Alcorn and Pine Bluff may be a little bit tighter than everywhere else, even though Prairie View still has a quarterback competition going on. The Southern, Prairie View, Grambling have a guy that has played some, but not that much at Prairie View, I'll say. But, you know, they have a guy that's, like, say, you coming in the clubhouse with the lead a little bit, or when they finish spring football, when they start back summer workouts, is one guy that's going to be, quote-unquote, either in charge of the summer workouts when they go out there on their own. But now you can go out there with your coaches as well. So when they do their individual workouts, non-coaching, it's one guy that's going to have the ear of the team, or one guy that knows the offense. He's going to be in charge, or he's going to be the guy that the coaches give the script to and say, okay, when you guys do 7-on-7, let's run these plays. But it's still some quarterback competition, but Grambling and Southern for sure have a guy that has played, that has been a starter in the conference before. Everybody else, they have a guy, but it's still some good pushing going on by the second and third guy, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yes, sir, no doubt about it. And with that, we know it starts with the quarterback. We know, especially in the eyes of the outsiders, and I'm talking about that average fan,
yeah.
It starts and ends with the quarterback play. Then you look at, and even though they say that the value of the running back has decreased, in particular in the professional ranks, I think just a little bit opposite. I think it has really increased, especially with the way these offenses are being designed today.
Yes, it's almost, if you could make one guy miss, and either you have a guy that can run through tackles or make people miss, it's an either or, then you're going to have a chance to be successful. Because you make them defend side to side. Then don't talk about if you have a fast receiver that can make people play cover two, then that's going to make it a little bit easier to get you what we call a run box. A 5-man box is what we may say is a good run box. So if you got a guy that between the quarterback and the running back that can make one guy miss, it's going to be trouble for the defenses to try to play cover two, or they may not want to play cover one or cover three to stop the run, because they know it's going to leave somebody one-on-one outside. So the running back is very important in the college football game. If you can, block it up to where they can get one-on-one with a linebacker or a defensive end, and it's a couple things you can do. The fake of the quarterback, the carry through, is he just giving it, or is he what we call riding it up in there and then giving it at the last minute, or he riding it up in there and pulling it at the last minute? That can make a big difference in the ball game. So running backs are very important. I know this for sure. Prairie View, Texas Southern, and Grambling probably going to have a three-headed monster at running back. Alcorn got a joker I wouldn't want to tackle after halftime. I can't. I just know this. He a good-looking joker, and he is a 215 or 220 pound, like they say, Pulpwood hauler, bow-legged joker that I wouldn't want to tackle. Now, is he still gonna be there in the fall? I don't know, but I know he a joker that people ain't gonna want to tackle 25 to 30 times a game.
Yes, and that's why. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he'll make you make a business decision when it comes to tackle him late in the ball game.
Yes, sir, and that's why I get, is the glass half empty, half full? You get excited. You see these fantastic plays, and you come in with a bunch of promise. And then, like you say, when the fall, wait, what happened to such and such? Oh, yeah, he gone. He gone. Yeah. And he's like, man, okay. Now let me ask you this, Coach. You mentioned we got 6 new offensive coordinators in the West.
Just in the West.
Yeah, just in the West. And we're not, FAMU, they got a lot of raves and reviews out of their new coaching staff from their camp that they have. But we're going to stick with this West, or just a general question in total. You have your scheme that you like as an OC. You line up with the head coach, and you all have the same type of vision, and you try to plug in the players that fit your scheme. When do you say abort plan A and go to plan B if your scheme is not necessarily lining up with your talent? When do you say this is not going to work and we're going to have to do something drastic? Because from my vantage point, it seems like OCs can be extremely stubborn at times, and this is my system. I have faith in my system. Y'all just running it wrong. When do you go and modify your system to actually line up to the talent you have available to you?
Well, you have to always be ready to be flexible, and whether it's a personnel change, a scheme change, a technique change, there's a couple different things that you can do if your offense is quote unquote not working. So there are times where it may be something as simple as changing what you call a play. It may be something as simple as how do you teach your quarterback to read the defensive end? How do you teach your running back to make his pocket if we're not getting a good exchange where he can, like you say, get as close to the offensive line as possible before the quarterback gives the ball away? Or if we see the thing that hurts most people on the offensive side of the ball, if you can't block them up and you have no speed either at quarterback or at the wide receiver spot, because if people can just play cover 1 or cover 3 the whole game, in my opinion, you do not have a chance. You got to have somebody to put a little bit of fear in the defensive side of the ball, somebody on your offense that can win one-on-one. If you can't do that, you can't win.
Well, you just really simplified it to me in a nutshell, because and I've always been fascinated by it, and everybody loves the ability to be deceptive or appear to be so much smarter as either an offensive play caller or a defensive play caller. And they start calling all these code names, hippopotamus, Geronimo, alpha, beta, and all that. But when it all boils down, Coach, it's about carrying out your assignment, blocking your man long enough for the hole to be created, and tackling jokers when you want to when you need to make the tackle. What is missing with just simplifying the play? And I know you don't want to be too simple, but you say sometimes you don't want these guys to think, you just want them to react, right? So, back in my day, it was the 1, 3, 5, 7 hole, 2, 4, 6, 8 hole, right? And, all odd numbers was to the left, all rights, it was even numbers. Mm-hmm. Why do we become so sophisticated, but yet it boils down to tackling? Instead of learning all these Geronimos, hippopotamus, and giraffes, let's work on some tackling drills so we can make sure we make open field tackles.
Well, I'll tell you this. Some guys, the last thing an offensive coordinator wants to say is they are predictable. But at the end of the day, the most predictable offenses are usually the best ones. So if you go look at certain teams, they'll run the same play and change the formation. So when I was coaching, I would ask guys at quote-unquote bigger schools, what is your go-to play if you are totally outmanned on the offensive or defensive line? What's your go-to? How do you make up for not having the bigger or the faster guys? And, we go to bunch, or we do this motion, or we're on the defensive side of the ball, we do these stunts, because we know we're not going to be big. We got a lot of movement up front. So that would be my thing. But offensive guys do not want to be told that they are predictable. And then that's why you sort of see the speed of some of those offenses. So I work with Coach Orlando. I played for Coach Orlando, and when we would do self-scout, I would tell Coach Orlando, hey, when you running this play, I know where the ball is going based off of this. He say, Heist, a lot of times he would say, Heist, you know that, and those other coaches know that, but how are they going to get that relayed to those guys that are on defense in X amount of seconds? So, and that's why we would go so fast, because people knew what we were doing, but could they get it relayed to their players in a certain time? So that's one of the things. Or you could take a guy like a guy at a bigger school on the defense and pretty much go through the same scenarios. So, but you have to be multiple, and you have to have a wrinkle off of your base package. You have to go in with a base package. And what is my wrinkle if they stop in my base package?
Well, I still say, as a defensive guy, it's either one of three plays is going to go to my left, to my right, or right at me. Okay? And I got to whoop that man in front of me to disrupt the play, whichever way I figured going out. And I think, and I know it's for the love of the game, and it's a lot different now, and everybody's more sophisticated and more power, more speed. But it still goes down to, as you say, your basics about having the necessary. If you got the heart of a champion, I can work with you. And I know speed, you can't coach speed, but you can coach technique. You can coach discipline. You can coach a team attitude. And I see a lot of individual stuff that we rely on to help the team get to the finish line, and that collapses a lot of the time.
Well, a lot of times, just say because of the different places that I've coached, and people would hear me talk to players, especially in the meeting setting, or even my players, especially when I was on the high school level, they would be like, why are you teaching us that? Like, I would teach guys the whys of stuff. Okay, this is based off of this. And I would teach to the point where my defensive guys would know if an offensive player ran the wrong route, different things like that. So it's a teaching aspect of it, but at the same time, some people don't go into that. We used to call it New Orleans public school football. They are going to teach plays, and they're going to try to out-athlete everybody. They're not going to teach probably the proper technique. They just going to say, look, you got that gap. How you get in that gap is up to you. Yeah, they may work with you a little bit on it, but they not going to do it. I say my brother coached at West Monroe High School, one of the best high school football programs in the state of Louisiana for a while. And they wouldn't have the best talent, but he said what helped them, just say on the defense side of the ball, they had a defensive tackles coach, they had a defensive ends coach, they had a middle linebacker coach, an outside linebacker coach, a safeties coach, and a corners coach. So on every play, a kid is being taught something about his technique. Then on the offensive side of the ball, they had an inside line coach, a tight end tackle coach. They had a fullback coach, a quarterback coach, a running back coach, and a receivers coach. So, you can take some kids that may not have the best talent, but because they're getting taught technique on every play, they're getting told something, you can speed them up a little bit. At our schools, we are not able to have the staff to have positive or negative words after every play. And just like we were talking a little while ago about a buddy of mine coaches at a Power 5 school, and he was talking about the number of people that they have just in football maybe in the 30s. And you're talking about football staff, you're talking about the graduate assistants, the analysts, the part-time workers, just not even talking about the academic side or the weight room guys. We're just talking about people that all they do is focus on player development. You know, you have guys that may work in the weight room, but when, just say, the defensive backs go in the weight room, they have a guy that all he does is go outside and work on footwork with them, separate from the defensive backs coach. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you can catch people up. But you think you getting a 4 or 5 star guy already, and he's being able to have, he doesn't have to do the same workout as everybody else. He has a workout dedicated to a 6'2", 200-pound guy, and he doesn't have to do the same workout that a guy that plays the same position, but is catered. So you can catch guys up. You know, like I say, we have to do a better job of getting everybody sped up, taught up in a shorter period of time with the 8 guys that some of our guys have that work with football.
Right.
You know, that was going to
be my next question. How do we counter that with the budget challenges that we have, and even when we talk about the spring football deal, right? Is that the time that you really work on those techniques versus then your 1s, 2s, and 3s? Because the cream is going to always rise to the top, right? And if you're working on techniques, getting guys better, getting guys bigger and stronger and faster to the best of what you have available to you, how do you compensate for the lack of funding?
Well, you have to be creative. The other thing is time management becomes way more important, especially just say during the summertime, where now you have those times where the actual position coach can go out with the football players. That makes a big difference now. But at the same time, they still have to lift weights. They still have to go to class. Some guys may have a job. So it's just all about time management and creativity. And you know what? It makes it a lot harder. And I know some people say, man, these guys making X amount of dollars. But it makes it a lot harder on your position coaches in terms of the time that they have to either spend in the office or spend with guys, whereas at one time you may have a floating schedule during the summertime where, all right, we know we got workouts on these days. Guys, we're going to man the office from 9 to 12. After 12 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the defensive staff going to stay until 5 o'clock. On Mondays and Wednesdays, the offensive guys will stay until 5 o'clock just to make sure you have office coverage. Well, now it's, you know, you pretty much have to stay all day, make it a longer day, because you have guys you got to work around their schedule and try to get them caught up on some film study, some technique, you know, those different types of things. That's why the game has changed. But like I say, some people don't want to hear it, but at the same time, you still have to be creative in order to get your guys caught up or get them to where they need to be. And now, since you're dealing with guys that may not have gone through spring football with you, you got to get those guys caught up so when you do get to your first game, they ready to rock and roll.
Right. Well, that goes back to the, I know they've eliminated, but the 2-a-days, and so on, or even having 3-a-days. Is there a way you could kind of use that without overexerting the guys and preventing injuries to get caught up?
Yeah. So just say now during the summertime, you may be able to, you can have walkthroughs to a certain extent, but you can't have a ball, but you can have a walkthrough. Or if you have a ball out there, you may not be able to, it may be limited to a certain number of guys. It may have to be half field, or it may have to be, no helmets, no shoulder shocks and different things like that. So it's a few different things that now you have access to the guys, but you don't have full access to the guys. You could do 7-on-7s. You can do your quote-unquote inside run where you're just working on the run game, but you can't have your pads and stuff. But a good walkthrough, I would call it, we would say we having a full-speed walkthrough. We're not coming out there with backpacks on. We're not coming out there with Crocs or whatever on. We coming out there with tennis shoes on like we getting ready to run, or we coming out there with cleats, and we're going to go through it in a good motion, and we're going to be coaching like we getting ready for the Labor Day Classic if I'm at Prairie View or, wherever I am. We getting ready for the first game during the summertime.
So lack of a better word, be like flag football almost.
It's, I would say, a slowed down version of flag football. You can jog through it, but it's just making sure guys get to the right spot, making sure your quarterback know, all right, if we call open trips right chopper scat protection, everybody that's on the offense knows what open trips right chopper scat protection is, from the running back to offensive line. You may have cones or barrels or coaches line up as defense. Then if we on defense, if I say America Week Lightning, then everybody on the defense is going to have to know America Week Lightning. Okay, let's go through it versus trips. Let's go through it versus twins with two backs. Let's go through it with double-doubles where we got slot receivers on both sides, all right? So now you get a chance to do that in the summertime, whereas before you didn't have that chance to go through it with the whole defense. You might can go through it, okay, this is just the back end, the defensive backs and linebackers. Then your linebackers had to know what the front had to do. So now it to me is better because you can get everybody out there, but at the same time, you got to make sure that the university and your training staff and everybody is on the same page with getting your kids where they need to be, and then your kids having the right amount of kids. You got to have a summer school budget. If you don't have kids in summer school, you might as well add 2 more losses to your schedule before you even play, no matter who you play.
Right, because
so now,
yeah. Go ahead.
Summer school is just as important as two-a-days or fall camp now, because you have your guys. You have almost 2 months to have your kids on campus working out, and now I would guarantee if you have your guys in summer school, usually the amount of injuries before the first game goes down because you don't have to, try to get guys in shape. They already in shape, different things like that. So
right now with the financial commitment that it would take for that to be a reality at these programs, in guesstimation, what do you think something like that would add to your already existing budget?
Well, it depends on the school. So just say and I'm not 100% sure, at Grambling, at one time, if you were on full scholarship during the spring and the fall semesters and you got a scholarship for summer school, it had to be a full scholarship. So, and then if you were an out-of-state student at some schools, if you paid on your own, you didn't have to pay out-of-state fees. And then, but some of the things that you have to think about is housing those kids. Or what we would tell guys to do at just say if I was at Prairie View, hey, go to your department and see what scholarship money that they have available for summer school, or is there any scholarships available if you have a certain grade point average. So it's different things like that. We would say, hey, man, try to find a way to get here. We would try to find some guys that had apartments that didn't mind guys staying with them. Hey, man, you get this guy $200 a month, let him get an air mattress. We'll try to take care of the food, and you make sure you give him gas money for getting you back and forth to campus. A lot of it is going to be hustle too. You just got to have some get up and to go about yourself. So, but a lot of it is getting with the university, and now coaches are negotiating that into their contract where I get X amount of dollars for summer school, and not just to get guys eligible. We got to get guys ahead and get them staying where they are. We don't lose 2 to 2.5 months of workouts with these guys that go home and not able to come back for the summer.
Right. Now, we know that the Power 4 budgets are ridiculous in comparison to what's available on the FCS level. Knowing what you know, experiencing with budgets and things that you had as a head coach, and even as, decision makers on the coaching staff, what do you think is a realistic budget for an FCS program to reach the promised land?
I can't give you a dollar amount. That's because the amount that it costs to go to school at a Southern is different than a Prairie View. And I'll say this, one of the advantages that we had at, just say, a city school, the Alabama State, Jackson State, Southerns, and FAM, a lot of their either walk-on guys or scholarship guys, they may have housing year-round. So you're going to have a steady amount of guys there no matter what. They're going to be on campus. A school like Prairie View, maybe not so much, because a lot of their guys live on campus, So when the campus is closed, those kids are gone. But the other part is, what am I deciding to pay for? Am I just going to pay for classes? Am I going to pay for classes and housing? Am I going to pay for classes and meals? And you sort of figure housing on your own. So it's different things that as a coach or as a program, we have to decide what is important and what are we going to pay for. But also, too, at a school like Prairie View, at one time they had what was called a Texas grant. So if you are a resident of Texas and you had above a 2.5 grade average, you could, I want to say 2.5, may have been less than that actually. But if you're a resident of Texas, we would send you the financial aid, and you could get a scholarship that would pay for you to go to, I want to say it may have been 6 hours every summer session. So if you got 12 hours paid for, that, number one, we could convince that, look, you cutting a semester off of you having to stay in school, but also, too, that's going to cut off your time for school, but then you get a chance to stay on campus and work out. So it's different programs like that you have to tap into that may not hurt your athletic budget, but I may have to go talk to a lady that works in a financial aid. I was like, hey, how much funding do you have exactly? When do I need to send my guys over? What are the requirements for it? And look, hey, I'll tell guys, look, man, and I shouldn't say this, but I can. If you have to miss class to get this money for summer school, you missed that one class. But your ASS better be over there getting this summer school money. You bet. Look, and I'll tell guys, you better not miss class and miss out on this money. You know what I'm saying? So that's almost some things that we would have to do in order to make sure that our guys got money that was available to them.
Yes, sir. And you chuckle when we call you the guru. This is why we have you on, because the intel and the insight, that because a lot of people, as we said, they look from the surface and they think they know when they really don't know. And it's a lot of juggling acts to be dealing with when you're dealing with LCS programs. And if you notice, I'm not just saying HBCU programs, LCS programs, because they all have the same challenge on some plane or another. And they say the struggle on the north side is the same on the south side. We just call it a different thing, but it's still a challenge. And as they say, the struggle is real. Now, Coach, I know we went through the West, and as they say, the Lord say the same, and the creek don't rise. We'll kind of dig into that eastern side of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. As I mentioned earlier, hearing a lot of good praises coming out of Alabama State. With FAMU, they had a big write-up on Body on why and how he ended up coming to Alabama State. But we'll kind of break that down the next time we get together. But right now, man, I want to give you some closing thoughts and comments, and we're ready to circle the wagon.
Man, like I say, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of moving parts. And I was looking at, I don't know what I was looking at, but I saw, I was a big fan of Texas Southern defense last year, and I saw that they're the big defensive tackle. They had number 0 and number 5. Where number 5 is entered the transfer portal. Pretty good football player. I don't know where he's going to end up, but he's going to make somebody happy. And I think this is going to be his 3rd or 4th school. I want to say he was at Nicholls State before he went to Texas Southern. And Texas Southern defensive line coach is now at Southern. So don't be surprised to see big number 5 back over in Jaguar land come next football season. But, you're still losing guys. FAM has had a lot of guys enter the portal, a couple guys come back, and with the portal being open again. But it's just one of those things, man. You're going to have to wait and see who shows up back in school come fall training camp, because this portal deal is a whole nother ball game. But it's good for the kids, but at the same time it can be bad for the universities, the coaches, you counting on guys, but like they say, the loyalty is not there, but it's happening everywhere. They say same problem, different mascot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's just like JSU lost their big tight end to the portal as well, and they're holding their breath on where he's going to end up. As you say, there's a lot to be continued. Old soap opera say, as the world turns. I guess we could say as the SWAC turns, right? We'll see what's going on. Coach, as always, we want to thank you so much for making yourself available and dropping these nuggets on us. He is Coach Ice Northern. Get ready for your giggle, our football guru. And we truly, truly appreciate him. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Don't forget, follow me on Twitter X at The Mike Prince Show. Also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.